Okay, guys, time to defend science fiction from male feminist. Now, these two guys are Wheel of Genre, and this guy is Liminal Spaces, and these guys have a deep love for science fiction. And they are going to brag up this female science fiction writer who obviously hates men, which means she hates you guys, no matter how much you try to deny it. Now, I want to point out that science fiction is a male interest, no matter how much they lie about it. Remember, liars will always contradict themselves. Science fiction readership is more balanced by gender than traditionally assumed, right? 49 survey indicating only 7% of female readership for astounding science fiction. This has shifted significantly. But why? Right? Now, look at this. Despite this, genre perception and marketing continue to skew representation. Many female readers are drawn to science fiction when it is marketed with character-driven narratives rather than tech-focused or masculine imagery. Tech-focused. In other words, they're not into the science fiction. They're into character-driven. They're into soap operas. So when science fiction writers write soap operas, that's when women are into it, right? Like I said, liars always contradict themselves. Women are not interested in science fiction, right? So let's get into what these guys have to say.
Bob, I'm interested in James Tiptree Jr., Alice Bradley Sheldon. Want to talk a lot about her. Sometimes Zach and I read authors from this collection and we're like, oh my God, what have we done with our lives? And this is definitely one. She is incredible, and she just has done so many cool things that are all different.
I'm Chris, and I'm interested in how much you can abuse a reader before they've had about enough.
Yeah, this woman, she's so incredible. Has this great lifetime, right? But she suffered depression and she took her own life. And of course, she had to take her husband with her. All right. Her husband was ill, so he couldn't be a good provider, guys. Right. This is so typical. So she couldn't take living, right? She's such a special girl. And of course, she has to take her man with her. And these guys see this as romantic, right? Reverse the genders. If some guy got depressed and took his wife's life, people would recognize him for what he is. Right? So, but this is what's more important. Look what she's written. Such fictions as women men don't see. That's all you need to understand. Women men don't see. So, in other words, this woman, she got into science fiction, and her science fiction really wasn't that good. And men didn't just flock to her and give her all her accolades like these male feminists are doing. So she's a man hater. There's the proof right there in that one title. Oh, by the way, guys, this is another reason why I don't worry. I'm not a free speech guy, right? Because it says 11 comments, and you'll realize there's a lot more than 11 comments down here. All of mine have been wiped clean. I'm not hamstringing myself, right? I'm not putting up with that hypocrisy. When everyone doesn't like what you have to say, they ban you whenever they feel like it. And I'm not playing by any other rules, right? But anyway, let's get into this.
In this story, what do we know about James Tiptree Jr.?
So James Tiptree Jr. hit the scene I think around the late 60s, early 70s, hit the sci-fi scene, and instantly made a huge splash. And Harlan Ellison, in particular, really enjoyed her stories. But
Harlan Ellison, is he the guy who wrote that story? I have no mouth and I must scream. He's a real misanthrope. So anything he likes, I can just destroy. You just disregard, I should say.
when she hit the scene, she just called herself James Tiptree Jr. and didn't reveal who she actually was. So everybody thought that she was a male writer.
Yeah, she was afraid that guys would disregard, which is just because she's, disregard her stuff just because she's female. There's no need of that because Mary Shelley proved that that was wrong way before her time. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein when? 1812? Okay, so women have no excuse to say that their material is ignored.
And it got to the point where science fiction writers, particularly Robert Silverberg and Harlan Ellison at one point, were actually saying there is no way this is a female writer. All you have to do is read his prose, and you can tell that this is 100% a male masculine writer. And of course, they were proved very wrong as time went on. I think eventually.
Well, she's probably had a male-oriented brain, right? But still, the misandry comes out, right?
Somebody followed the money and was able to reveal her actual name, which was Alice. I think Alice.
By the way, this is why she took up a male's name. She didn't want to admit to other women that she was writing geek stuff. This is what you nerds, you all-male nerds, don't understand. She didn't want to admit that she wrote stuff that guys like you like. Again, guys, why is almost all your hangouts have only guys in it? Right? If women love science fiction so much, how come I so rarely see a woman in your hangouts? And this woman didn't want to admit that she was writing stuff that guys like you liked. She hates your guts.
Alice Sheldon. I forget
Alice
what her
Sheldon.
male initial is.
Bradley.
Alice Bradley Sheldon, who lived an incredibly interesting life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from what they tell you, it's not that interesting. Basically, her parents introduced her to stuff that girls would normally be introduced as. So kudos to the parents, right? But it didn't change her man hatred, did it? Doesn't change anything, does it, guys? More proof of misandry?
Yeah, she had a complicated relationship with gender. She wrote to Joanna Russ and Ursula K. Le Guin. They were all very good friends. She admitted to them in some letters that she thought she was a lesbian.
There's nothing complicated, you male feminist. This woman doesn't like men. She hated the fact that she was lusting after them. She had sexual desire for men, and she wanted a male provider to use, but she didn't like men. So there's nothing complicated about this. This is very simple.
And then she
thought she was a lesbian, but she still got married to a man because she found out other women aren't going to provide for her. And she just wasn't turned on to it. She wasn't a lesbian.
her life ended in a sad and possibly litigious way.
No, pathetic way. She suffered from depression, something that men suffer from all the time. Only we're told, and you were told because you're men, to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. But anyway, this woman, she took her life and she took her husband out because, misery loves company. I'm sure that'll sound very romantic to you female worshipers.
It's a very sad, very tragic story. And if anyone's interested in it, I encourage you to look it up. Maybe we'll skip talking about it right now. I do want to talk.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to talk about these things in YouTube without harming your channel, which is wrong. But you got, what can I say? YouTubers don't do anything about it, so we should be allowed to talk about these things without hampering our views.
About this idea of kind of double identity, which you kind of alluded to in these letters to Joanna Russ and Ursula K. Le Guin. I've heard a lot of different speculation on why the name James Tiptree Jr. I think that maybe I'm not right.
Most female sci-fi writers suck. So when guys see a female name, they say, well, most likely it's garbage. So she hid behind a male name. But still, she could have turned around and just said, sorry, I'm going to buck the system. I am female, hear me roar. That's what they were saying in the 1970s, right? That's what they were saying in the 1970s.
Camouflage. She wrote in 1967. She said, "I had the feeling that a man would slip by less observed, like you just said, and I've had too many experiences in my life of being the first woman in some damned occupation because she was doing so much."
Hey, see how she doesn't like it? Yeah, like this should be positive, guys. She should be saying, "I'm the first woman. This is awesome. I'm breaking the so-called glass ceiling," right? No, because what she's breaking into is male majority, and she hates men. That's why you male nerds, you male feminist nerds, she hates you. She hates me. She didn't want to be attached to us. So she was embarrassed. She didn't want her fellow superiors, her women folk, to know that she was writing geek stuff. Of course, you worshipers will never see it that way. No, she's going to project her nature onto a male character, right? She's going to start bashing the male character. Here we are.
Change their behavior in changed environments. But in this story, we have a psychologist who, as he tells us, every day he wakes up and he thinks, okay, today is going to be better. But when he goes into the laboratory, all of these animals are being mistreated. Now they have rhesus monkeys, they have rats, they have hamsters, they have squirrels. I think they have different kinds of dogs. And when he goes in, he's just really depressed about it because, there's blood on their head from being in the cage and trying to get out of the cage. Some of them are even not fed. And he is in hot water at his job because in his studies, he's drawing like little pictures of rats just doing regular rat behavior. And that's what he hands in to his boss. His boss says, look, we're not a zoo. We're a psychologist.
You guys see where this is going? I'll tell you where it's going. She represents the male character as having fake empathy, right? He thinks she's a good guy. Hey, she's talking about you guys. You guys think you're good guys, but in the end, you're all psychopaths. And it gets revealed in this story.
Just like test lab. You need to be doing something important. And so he gives them an ultimatum. Either you do something important or we're kicking you out. He then, our researcher, goes back home and he has to work until midnight to grade all of these papers. That's where he gets some extra pay, 75 cents an hour, something like that.
I didn't connect with him at any point as much as I did right here.
Well, there you go. So this is why they thought this was a male writer. This woman probably did this sort of thing that men do, right? She was in these occupations that are male dominated, and she realized that she made chump change, which means the men made chump change, right? And so she has this Bradley writer. She could have empathy for men, but in the end, she always turns on us. She is writing about herself, actually. She had the opportunity to have empathy for men in the fields that men deal with, but she rejected it.
Yeah, universally human experience for a very small subset of people.
That's
my
right.
God.
Oh my God, the grading.
The grading. I understood it too last couple months every night. And
Okay, but let's get in to the very meat of it, right? Here we are, 1456. This is where she begins her assassination of the male character. 1456. Let's get into this, guys. Right about here.
they all go off into this other fantasy land. Now his promise has been dashed. He wakes up, and that's when he puts all of the animals down. But he seems to completely flip from being this guy who is against all of this testing to becoming a complete psychopath after this dream experience.
Yeah. The beginning.
Yeah, see what I mean? This is the writing, like, you nice guys, that includes you, Wheel of Genre and the Middle Spacious, all you nice guys are really bad guys who think you're nice. What you don't understand, she's writing about you. She's not just writing about a male character. That male character is representative of the male gender, people of the male gender. She's saying we're all like this. We're all these nice guys, but really we're bad guys, right?
I can't stress enough. I mean, this literally opens with a guy just cutting the heads off baby rats.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not, it's a little bit weird that we're doing testing on animals. Like this is, torturing animals, and sometimes the people that he works with seem like they're doing it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really, and we're getting it from his perspective, so that is important. But yeah, there's.
And here's another thing I want to point out really quick, guys. Do you know that makeup, they would test it on animals? Rabbits are subjected to painful and controversial tests known as drays, where cosmetics or their ingredients are applied directly to their eyes, often without anesthesia, to assess potential irritation of damage. Do you know that? Did you hear any feminist women coming out and saying, women, we've got to stop wearing makeup now? Matter of fact, here's this video by Boot Sauce called Love Monkey Number 9. We're in it. They show these, the guy was dressed up as monkey because they didn't want to show actual monkey suffering, right? With some kind of apparatus on the eyes, and it squirt, the makeup or makeup ingredients into their eyes and make the monkey suffer, because it was all about saying, we want to put makeup on women's faces. Women want makeup. And we don't want to be sued, right? So again, women have wanted to wear makeup since the Stone Age. As soon as they were able to apply any kind of pigments on their face. Now again, when this was going on, were these women turning around and saying, it's time for us to stop wearing makeup because it harms animals? No, they didn't. I never even heard of it until I saw this video, even way back when. Why? Because men don't force women or encourage women into wearing makeup. Women want to. And they're willing to have these animals suffer so that they can wear makeup. So this Bradley writer, she is very hypocritical about attacking men.
There are things. There's this drug they give them that makes it so the animals can't respond while they're being operated on, and one of his people leave the dog over entire Easter break on the table, like eviscerated. Like, this is effed up, and this guy is our only link to what feels like any type of normalcy whatsoever.
I bet all the researchers are male too, right?
This is a torture chamber, and he's just trying not to torture the animals. And then when he starts drinking, I feel like he was trying to bring up the bravery to become the psychopath.
There you go, guys, right? See, the male character, he's really bad by nature, but he just doesn't want to admit it.
I don't think he was thinking about freeing all the animals. I think he was thinking about killing all of his rats so that he could present to wipe the slate clean and present some new psychopathic way to keep his grant money and maybe attract this other woman that he works with.
There you go. Track this other woman he works with. So what these guys don't acknowledge is that this is female driven. If women liked men naturally and just got together with them, guys wouldn't be driven to do this. This is a status climb to get the girl. Hey, you male feminists, I thought women just were naturally good people and loved us for who we are. Why do men have to suffer status grind to get together with them? But the point is also that the character is cowardly as well. He's a bad person. He's cowardly. He's too cowardly to just get on board right away, right? So he's got to get rid of all his rats before he can start being his real self, his real male self.
And he goes and he kills two of these rats in the kindest manner he knows, and then has this dream. So very close to the way you read it, Bob, but I don't know. And maybe it was later. I think he was thinking about freeing all of them.
He wants to free them by killing them. He does at one.
Yeah, and notice this again is her projecting her nature onto them. Where was it again? Right? She shot her husband. So she could have divorced her husband. She could have just stayed with him until he passed on naturally. Right? And then maybe move on with her life. So this male character that she's bashing, she's projecting her nature onto him. She's the bad person who doesn't want to admit she's a bad person.
He's like, okay, why is there so much pain? He wants to solve a problem. And then he becomes a bit of a psychopath. Because while he's dreaming, he has this obsession with his coworker, Sheila. And so he
doesn't have an obsession with her. He desires her. So notice how these male geeks, these male feminists, place their own desire. All you guys desire women. So I guess every one of you are obsessed with women, aren't you?
he sees the dream version of Sheila, he gets this idea that he really, he feels like he deserves a relationship with Sheila. He feels like he deserves all this grant money, but he does have...
He wants it, right? So if a guy desires a woman, he's obsessing over them and he believes he deserves her. She's talking about you nerds. You're the guy she's talking about.
This idea of, I want to stop their suffering, so he's going to kill them. But then after seeing the...
Also, she's projecting her own nature onto men. She's the one who believes she deserves male interest. She's the one who believes this.
Rat King, for some reason, he becomes just another, like all the other people in the torture chamber.
Yeah. Sorry,
well,
Zach, I keep cutting you off.
I think that the transformation into being like all the other people was part of the whole, like it's the whole
all the other guys
reason why he started killing them in the first place. It's the whole reason why he started drinking absinthe. And I think that maybe what Tiptree is doing is showing how you can start with a character who is more or less like you and me, like a very empathizable person.
No. He's not. He's like you in the way that you guys are the psychopaths who believe you're good guys. You're the nice guy she hates with a passion. That's where you nerds get it wrong.
Who, feels sympathy towards the plight of animals, but then they push themselves in order to fit in with those people around them in order to get the girl.
Again, she's projecting everyone, right? Again, if women actually cared about animals, they wouldn't be sacrificing them so they can have a makeup job, so they could have a makeover. So again, this female writer is projecting her lack of character onto men.
In order to be respected at work, in order to not lose money and status and things like that, they push themselves into becoming monsters like everyone else. And I feel like,
Do they push themselves or are they being pushed? I mean, the guy wants the girl, right? He has to gain status. And the girls don't care how a man gains status. That's what you guys are leaving out. That's what you nerds, you male feminists, are leaving out. Women don't care how men gain status. Tony Soprano, right? He had all the mistresses and all the women after him because they love the criminals.
that's the real transformation that Tiptree is showing here.
Yeah, it was really interesting to me because I think
It's really interesting that this woman hates my guts and is bashing me, right? This is so typically male, right? A man attacks you, it's like the pitchforks come out. Women attack you, this is very interesting.
for him, it was so important that this be a truth, that they be some form of karmic release for the sympathetic. And one thing that I really...
Now, let me see. I'll just make sure. Oh, yeah. This is the last one we're going to start. Yeah. 2054. Really, genre doesn't realize she's talking about them, that they are the incels she is talking about. Let's get into this. 2054. This is how clueless male feminists are, really.
Because Houston, Do You Read is a completely different story plot-wise, but it is the same story thematically. It opens with these three men that are astronauts that are out in this ship, and one of them feels emasculated or effeminate compared to the other two, and they all poke fun at him. And by the end, he feels like he should be the one that is spared because...
Yeah, he's the good guy. He's the nice guy, right? He fails in the male competition, but he feels he should be loved for being this good guy, right?
He's not the same. And I think this is a real theme for James Tiptree Jr.
Yeah, Bradley's her name. Don't use the male name, just be honest. Bradley's her name. And her theme is that nice guys make her puke, and that's you guys. And nice guys are really bad boys, right? Well, they're not bad boys. They're just bad men who don't admit that they're bad men.
This idea that, hey, I'm the good one in this situation. I'm the one with empathy, and I don't have these masculine traits that are so destructive like my peers.
See, it doesn't matter if you have masculine. This is why the pro-male collective, that's what the group I'm involved with, Wheel of Genre in the middle stages, that's why we reject the term masculinity. There's no such thing as a good masculine man. It's a feminist concept that's used to bash men. That's why we reject it.
Do. And in this one, I think that he is so angry at the truth of the world that there is no prize for being better than your peers.
Yeah, that's why you guys aren't angry, because you're in denial of reality. He had to face reality. You haven't.
That he decides to outdo his peers. And I felt like I could...
Yeah, he isn't loved for being a good person. So he has to get into the competition and win. Right? He could just, hey, this guy could have just been a good guy and dealt with being a loser. Couldn't he, right? That would have been real character.
Sense from the beginning of the story that this guy expected payment for his kindness. I don't know. I might be being too.
Payment or respected, right? Notice how these male feminists always word things. What a disgusting way for you to word this. Liminal spaces. What do you mean by payment? Well, in other words, he believes he should be respected because he's a good person. You feel that way. So notice this character who's just like you, right? When he of course expects payment, but you just want to be loved and respected, right? You're totally different from this guy.
For his empathy. I don't know. Am I being too hard on him?
I didn't notice. I think I would read it the same way. I didn't think about it at the beginning, though, that he is expecting payment. But at the end, he certainly is expecting payment. I was thinking it was more of a transformation of the dream.
Again, notice the payment doesn't say, what do you mean? Payment in cash? Right.
But I guess you're right. It is there the whole time. He's a coward. Why doesn't he just like quit this job or report this place or try and actually free these animals? He's been there.
Because he's being written by a woman and she's projecting her nature onto him. That's why.
For years, I think, just doing this day in, day out, participating in all of these things, even though he's somewhat more humane, he's not really. And at the end,
Well, there you go. Exactly. She's writing about men, not just a male character, all of us. We're all bad guys and we all like to think we're good guys, but we're not. We should be like the women who really care about animals to the point that they're willing to see animals suffer for a makeover, right? But continue.
I was thinking, okay, he has this dream and he has this idea of like paradise. You know, he meets this Rat King and Sheila are going to take him off to paradise. So it's like he's finally going to be with this woman who he's been lusting after at the office all of this time. You know,
he's just lusting, right? So if he's interested in with a woman, he's lusting. So when you guys are interested in women, you're not lusting, right? You're one of the good guys.
In love with Sheila. Sheila doesn't give him the time of day, so he's angry about that. He's like an incel, I feel like. And when he...
Thank you for admitting it. What incel is, like all these guys reveal themselves eventually. He's not an incel because he can't get the girl. He's an incel because he's complaining. So you guys don't see yourselves as incels because you aren't complaining. Even though you probably... Well, I know that Liminal Spaces got dumped by his woman. So right now, he doesn't have a girlfriend from what I see. So you are an incel, Liminal Spaces. But I bet you don't see yourself as an incel because your idea of an incel is the guy gets upset. That's what it always has been about, guys.
Yes.
He gets this promise in the dream world and he's exposed now to fantasy and he finally, I guess, looks at his fantasy, you know, right in the eye. And so the fantasy tells him directly, no, this is a fantasy, it doesn't exist. And then it goes away. And I felt like that was when he finally switched because he has this line.
Yeah, he can't get what he wants. Just like you nerds, right? He can't get what he wants. And so then he shows his true colors. He's always been a bad guy. He's always been a psychopath. But he's always been able to hide it. And I have to ask you guys, you male nerds, you male science fiction nerds, what makes you think that you aren't this guy? This woman, what's her name? Bradley? Sheldon? Alice Bradley. What makes you think that she doesn't see you as this guy? Aren't you all the nice guys? Like when another guy is interested in the woman, he's lusting after her, but when you are, you're not. Now, I'm going to end off with saying two things. One, of course, is science fiction is a male interest and always has been and always will be because women aren't interested in the science fiction. They're interested in the soap opera aspects of it. And secondly, women are the ones who are willing to sacrifice animals to get what they want. They're the psychopaths. not us. So that's what I'm saying at the end. That's what I'm ending on. And you male nerds, you male feminists should be ashamed of yourselves. But of course, you're not capable of it. You never are.